Hey folks, welcome back to the Buddies podcast. For many of us, our small businesses are a passion project, and that's definitely the case for our guest today, Corrine Sultana. Her passion was low-tox living. She started a Facebook community which has 14,000 members, and off the back of the community, she built a world-class stainless steel cookware business. Here is Corrine's story. G'day, Corrine. Welcome to the Buddies podcast. Tell me about the Low Tox project.
Good morning, Peter. Thank you for having me. The Low Tox project is my business and my baby. We started about 3 years ago, and we're a kitchenware specialist. We specialise in stainless steel kitchenware, bakeware, tableware, and items for your home.
Okay.
And specialise in only stainless steel.
Okay. So have you always had a keen interest in stainless steel cookware? Is that like as a kid you were growing up thinking, I can't wait to run a business in stainless steel cookware?
No, not at all. As a family, we've always had stainless steel cookware. We like to cook with it, makes it nice and clean and easy to use, easy to wash up. But this business was really born out of my online community and people that were asking for particular products. And it was we went from there.
Okay. So the online community, you started this an online community, I'm imagining?
Yes. So in 2017, I started an online community on Facebook. It's called the Low Tox Project Community. And what we were doing was establishing an area where people could talk about shifting their products, either personal or home-based products, to something that was more of a lower toxic load. Okay. So we hear a lot about that in the news or in media about a variety of different toxins that could be in our lives.
Yeah.
They can be environmental, they could be chemical-based, they could be introduced through manufacturing process, etc. So we started this online community to talk about how people could make changes in their personal health and their home, and it grew from there. And that was 2017. And in 2022, we started the store.
Okay, so you ran the community for 3 years, and what was low toxicity like a special interest of yours when you started the community?
So I started the community when my first son was about 12 months old. Okay. And it was quite organic. One day I was actually doing a nappy change, and for some reason I flipped over the packet of baby wipes that I was using for my son and was really curious about what was in them. I always looked at food packets, but I'd never thought about personal products. So I flipped that over and had, for some reason, wondered. Hopped online, did a bunch of research, started asking questions, and then it sort of went from there.
Okay. So was this, so you're changing your son, you're using a baby wipe as any parent probably has thousands of times and not thinking much about the product.
Nope.
Just thinking about, thank God it's here. This would be very tricky without nappies and baby wipes. And you're thinking, okay, I wonder what's in this. Can you remember what you found in the baby wipe that caused you some concern?
So I guess in those sorts of products, what I started to find was a bunch of ingredients that were either irritating to the skin,
okay,
were not kind. So he would have quite red rashes. And I guess that was part of the discovery process. And also there's a wide range of preservatives. Some are harsher than others, but there's an opportunity for, introduction of other chemicals and products that are not sort of something you want to put next to a baby. And then I sort of found something that had a lower amount of ingredients, a more gentle preservative in it. It was a lot kinder to his skin. We swapped over to that. And then I started getting curious and looking at other products we were using, our food, our shampoo, his nappies, etc. And then a wider view out from that, and started looking at our home, our air quality, our water quality, and then ultimately our kitchenware and the surface that which we cooked on, and went from there.
Okay. So you're exploring your son's nappies and his baby wipes, and then that makes you start thinking about toxicity and living a lower toxic life, the right way to say it? A low tox life.
Yeah, low tox life is kind of the term.
A low tox life, yeah. And you're thinking, well, I might just jump on Facebook and start a community. You couldn't find a community, I'm guessing, and you think I might start a community on this.
Yeah, so we have some wonderful amazing contemporaries in this space
Yeah.
that were producing information and education prior to me ever starting this journey. And one particular person that I looked out to, and she did a lot of education, courses, online information. But what happened at that stage was her course was only running once a year, or once every 6 months. And being the type of personality that I am, I kind of wanted to know yesterday. So as soon as the light bulb came on, I really wanted to know then and there. And at that time, the information on the internet wasn't as readily available as it was now. The course wasn't beginning for another 6 or so months. And so I decided to start a Facebook community. Don't know why, but I thought this would be a good idea. And I would never have foreseen that it would have grown to what it is today. I was speaking to my friends and family, and I remember when we got 50 members in the community that we could start to have a conversation. What do you know? What have you found out? What research have you done?
I see.
What products could you recommend? And then after that, I've done a lot of study, have done quite a lot of study in my professional career prior to adding that as well.
Yeah.
And sort of has just evolved from there.
So what professional career was that before Lotox? What were you doing?
So my background is I have a Bachelor of Science, and I have been in a corporate environment for most of my career. And a lot of it in project management and communications. And actually a big chunk of my career was change management.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, so facilitating change management is essentially what I brought to the community and still do.
Yeah.
The change management idea is to help people move from one idea to another and to go through that change journey.
And the science would help too, I guess, if you're looking at a low tox lifestyle, having a BSc or having that scientific background, that would really help, wouldn't it?
The main part for me, because I'm not a specialist like a chemist or a pharmaceutical or anything, but the main part for me was to be being an inquiring mind, but also to understand about how to look for research. So look for peer-reviewed papers, look at appropriate medical journals, not to be looking at some of our more dubious websites that people turn to.
Yes. I've got a good friend of mine that runs a mindfulness and positive psychology business, and her favourite expression is says who. Like, she's very much into the science of positive psychology and like peer-reviewed papers, and doesn't like opinions. She gets annoyed when someone has an opinion about something. I said, well, says who? That says you, but says who else apart from you? She likes bench work and peer-reviewed papers. But I think that background in something like Lotox would definitely be helpful, because rather than coming to a conclusion then finding out why, you're doing the research then coming to the conclusion. Like the opposite way around, isn't it?
Yeah. And also I think we often have this conversation, and I've had this for many years with people, particularly people that are possibly skeptical. And they'll say, oh, everything's a chemical and so we can't avoid everything. But what we're doing in this type of lifestyle is looking about what we call chemicals of concern. And what I like to think about is I like to go back in history a little bit, because when they first started manufacturing things out of lead was wonderful, really amazing, all these fantastic things we could do. How functional and flexible was asbestos? How functional and flexible have been plastic compounds, etc. So a wide variety of chemical compounds that we've used throughout the years to make modern living a lot easier. And then with the benefit of time and reflection and gathered data and medical research, we've actually found out that they're detrimental to us and that they've caused harm. So where I've always come from is I've always come from the use of the precautionary principle. Basically, if wherever there's doubt, then show precaution. So if you're not sure, if the science is out, or the science hasn't been done, because there's hundreds of thousands of chemicals available in the world and each combination has not been studied. So wherever there's doubt, you can then think about, well, is this something that I can easily avoid? Is there another option I can pick? That's kind of where my approach is, where I've come from to looking at these sorts of things.
So if in doubt, leave it out.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Because we live in a wonderful society and an age where we have so much choice. Yeah. So if I'm able to choose something that might have a different makeup, then maybe that's something that I might like to choose.
Particularly when you think about children, you think about the long-term impact of the chemicals in their lives. It might not affect them for a day or a week or a month, but maybe over a year, constant exposure may affect them quite significantly. It's hugely concerning for parents, isn't it?
One of the examples like that is that obviously lead exposure is a very well studied and very obvious one, that the cumulative impact on a child may not be seen for years, being exposed to eating. Some kids will eat paint, lead paint. A lot of kids played with lead sinkers, old lead soldiers. So that cumulative effect might not be seen for years, but there's other things we can see an immediate effect from. We're starting to understand how much food colouring, as an example, is impacting all of us. But there's a direct link, and even just with sugar, I have children and I can see that either if they have a high amount of sugar or some red food colouring, I see that impact immediately.
Yes. Kids are much more sensitive to things more quickly. They get a bigger reaction more quickly than adults do, that may be more resilient systems.
Absolutely.
The kids have.
Yeah,
Okay.
and we're also living in a different time and age, whereas at the beginning of last century, where we had our soil quality was better for our food, we didn't over farm, everything wasn't pre-processed and packaged. Many years ago, as an example, ice cream just would be a bit of cream and maybe some eggs and a little bit of sugar. But now if you have a look at the 15, 20 ingredients that goes into making ice cream, our world has become a lot more complex for the sake of convenience, and the cumulative effects that can have on all of us over time.
Yeah.
For some people, the jury's still out on a lot of this stuff. We won't find out for decades and then look back with concern.
Hey folks, we're just taking a short break from our conversation to remind you that if you're enjoying this podcast content, you'd like more of this type of content and access to great workshops, join the Buddies community at buddies.com. That's the Buddies community at buddies.com. Now let's get back to our conversation. Yes. You're probably too young to remember fruit only being available in certain seasons and having different shapes. Like I know, I find it funny if you go into a major retailer, all the oranges are the same size and they're hard and they're the same color. Whereas when I was a kid, oranges were like different sizes and different colors, and some were squishy, some were a bit harder. Bananas, some were like really dark and soft, and some had big black blotches all over them. Bananas are the same length, the same color. They're all rock hard. It can't be healthy to have like fruit available every day of the year, because there's obviously genetic modifications going in. I know also with a lot of meat products, the animals are fed a lot of chemicals to get them a certain weight and a certain size. Even like I know in pig farming, they use chemicals to get more marbling through the meat, so there's more fat through the meat. Everywhere you look, it's a minefield of health concerns, right?
Absolutely. And as generations continue, we're not educated on how to make those choices.
No.
I know I was born in the 70s, and even being in the 70s and growing up as an adult now, my familiarity with seasonality of produce is not as strong as my parents' generation, because as you said, it's always there. And we have huge amounts of wastage from fruit that's odd shaped. So it's really great. I think a lot of this information is coming out now that people make more informed decisions about, was this grown in Australia, or no, it's been imported from, South America, so I can have asparagus all year round. Do I want to buy that? More information is coming out about those things.
Yes. So you get concerned about toxicity in the home. You start a Facebook community. You get excited when you've got 50 members. You think that's great, it's interesting. When I talk to small business owners, those little steps become like huge milestones, don't they?
Absolutely.
I've got 50 members in my Facebook group. Wow, I'm excited about that. But then you reach a stage. I think you mentioned earlier, Corrine, was it 3 years after you started the community that you started your own business? Is that?
I started the community in the end of 2017.
Yeah.
And I opened, to be fair, I had some incremental steps in business along the way. So I had the community, and then a few years after that, I started to do some coaching, workshops, sessions, etc. So I started from that lens, coaching people, because what people find a lot is there's this huge overwhelm. Once they get a bit of information, there's this massive overwhelm about, I've got a little bit of information. Well, what do I do now?
Yeah, it's you can get lost down that rabbit hole because there's so much. We talked just briefly about food, like even just say vegetables or food or meat. You can pick any category. That's a big pet food. I mean, baby products, children's products, pet food, pet care. I mean, it's everything.
Everything.
It's everywhere.
I would counter a lot of people, and I still do, that once they would they would hear about this idea, they'd walk into their home or their office or their car and be paralyzed by fear. I know it's all not great for me. Well, what do I do? Well, so I guess I did a lot of coaching, presentations, workshops. That's really how I started professionally out of that. But I also, just while we mentioned that about the fear, is that I always work by what's often referred to as the 80-20 rule. And I always say that there is, what am I going to make a conscious decision about here? And I'm going to put in my 80% and I want to make a change. And then what's 20%, what's life and too difficult and we're traveling or I've got kids or need or to lower my own personal stress or something I just really like that I don't want to give up. So we try to work by that. And then it evolved more on from that because, yes, actually it was interesting. Around COVID time, it went very quiet in regards to, although people had a lot of time on their hand to do these sorts of things, they were too busy thinking about other things. And so it was the end of 2022 that I started the online store.
Okay. So that's almost 5 years, 2017, 2000. So what made you, out of all the areas we've talked about, what was it that made you pick cookware?
Yeah, so it started with the muffin pan. That's where it all started.
It all started with a muffin pan.
Because of a muffin pan, yes. What had happened was, I'm not sure if you're familiar, and some of your listeners may have seen a fabulous movie. It's called Dark Waters, starring Mark Ruffalo. Wonderful
I don't think
movie
so.
to watch.
No. Okay.
Highly recommended. It's a Hollywood blockbuster level. It's not a small funded film. And Mark Ruffalo, you might also know him as...
He was the Hulk, wasn't he?
He's the Hulk, yeah, from the Avenger movies and a bunch of other things. Fabulous actor. He's very much an activist as well in what he does behind the scenes. And this wonderful movie tells a story about a bunch of chemical companies in the US and the way that they were producing their chemicals and how it leached into the local waterways and animal feed and what was happening with the health of the people and the animals in that area and the quality of the water.
Okay.
Now, that it's very well aware when you do watch that movie that it does pertain to a commonly called ingredient called that we may refer to as Teflon, which is actually a name brand, a bit like liquid paper and whiteout. But so the non-stick coatings and the ingredients within that. So that movie it does link back to real life examples and court cases and real health issues with people. So there has been some doubt for a number of years about the makeup of the chemicals that are in non-stick cookware.
Yeah.
Many of them have been removed. The FDA in the US has said that certain chemicals could no longer be used in cookware because there was health studies connected to show it was a chemical of concern or a chemical of harm. And so I know that a lot of people have, because of that information and also because of sustainability uses as well, because it scratches very easily and it's very thrown out very quickly, etc. A lot of people wanted to move away. They're moving to things like cast iron, which we've used for such a long time, and we're really interested in stainless steel. And I used to find that people in our group would constantly say, I cannot find a muffin pan that didn't have non-stick coating. And it was a big thing, and everybody...
And all their muffins were stuck in the pan. They lose half their muffin in the pan, yeah.
They just wanted it.
I get that.
Yeah, and so it kind of started with that. And I thought to myself one day, well, I've got this great platform. I was seeing all these people asking, why can't I do this?
Why can't I make a muffin pan?
Yeah, so I actually started during some COVID lockdowns at home, and we were having a very wet summer in Sydney.
Yeah.
And another concern of a lot of people in our space is mold. I said to my husband, could I have $500 please out of the house account? I'm going to start this little online website. And my very first purchase was I bought some hygrometers, which measure the humidity within the home to help people control the level of the humidity in the home, to run their dehumidifiers to stop producing mold and illness associated with that.
So that was your first product before the muffin pan?
Muffin pan was the one that I knew I had to get, but I couldn't start day one on the muffin pan, so the hygrometer was done.
Okay.
And then I went in search of the muffin pan for many months, and it is absolutely our flagship product to this day.
Still?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Sell thousands of them.
Okay. The low tox muffin pan.
When they go out of stock, which unfortunately they do sometimes, the waiting list is hundreds of people waiting for them to come back in stock.
And if anyone's interested in low tox products, we're going to put the links to your website in the show notes to the podcast if they want to reach out to you. If there's people there that would like a low tox non-stick muffin pan.
And we've it started with the muffin pan, but now we have cake pans of all different shapes.
So you started with dehumidifiers, but then the first low tox project was muffin pans.
Yes.
Yeah. And then what happens? You sold, was that an instant six? How did you find muffin pans? Did you
hard work.
You had to find a supplier, right?
Yeah, many years of looking at that. So we started with a small range of stainless steel products. The muffin pan was one of them. Cups, plates, oven trays for cooking, your vegetables and whatnot in the oven.
So you started in the oven?
Pretty much, yeah. And then
muffin pans, baking trays, all the in-oven items, yeah?
Pretty much. And then I have this tendency to get excited with products, and off I go and I find something that's stainless steel, or I get requests from people to bring to market and we develop them. And so we have bakeware, ovenware, tableware, drinkware, and a few bits and pieces for generally across the home. So
okay. So it's not just cookware now.
Yeah, so we've more recently moved into lunchboxes, plates and cups, canisters. We have the best pizza pans that you'll find if you're a pizza maker or a pizza eater. We make incredible pizza pans. They have the holes in them to make them nice and crispy. And so we have a wide range of different things that you could use within the home to food related. That you could in your kitchen.
Okay. Are you a keen cook yourself, Corrine?
No, I'm not actually, to be honest. My husband does all the cooking.
Oh, does he really?
Yeah, he does. And I do. Sorry, I should say he's the savoury man and I do the sweets. So I will use the muffin pan. But this week he used said muffin pan to make mini pies for the boys.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so he's actually really grateful because he loves the products. He's so grateful because they're pure stainless steel. They go straight in the dishwasher.
Oh, okay.
And a lot of super easy cleanups. And that's one of the biggest pieces of feedback that we get from people.
It would be, wouldn't it? Wouldn't be, yeah, because it's often you've got to wash it before you put it in the dishwasher, which is
or hand wash only, so you don't smash.
Hand wash only, that's a bit annoying. There's a lot of baking and you've got to wash it all. Yeah, hand wash it all. That can get a bit tricky, particularly if you're like a big day, like big family coming over and a lot of cooking going on, and there's a pile of stuff to wash up afterwards. That's not always fun.
No, that's how we pick products. If it's not ultra hardy and it can't go in the dishwasher, that's what we aim for it to be strong, long lasting for many years to come. Really easy to use, really easy to clean.
Easy to use, easy to clean, and obviously low tox. That's the first criteria. So if there's folks listening that are thinking about starting a business or have just started a business, looking back over the last 5 or 6 years, what advice why don't we start with the what to do's first, then we'll work into what not to do. What would be the top 2 or 3 things you'd say to do if you're thinking about starting a business?
I would say it's really great if you can find something that you're passionate about.
Yeah.
I know that it can be difficult, but even if you pick if you're a product or a service-based business, even if you find something that you think will fill a niche, even if you're not passionate about it, you need to find something within it to give you passion, to help you drive you and want to be able to do it. So think I'd run a very heart-centered business. Mine is all from the heart, good service, makes me happy. I think that's really important. I think also find your point of difference.
Yep.
Finding your point of difference is really, really important. We often talk about oversaturated markets. So somebody might bring on another whatever product and you might say, well, there's thousands of brands in that particular area or thousands of products. Yeah. But you need to find your point of difference to say, well, why will somebody buy my product versus everything else that's available of my competitors or contemporaries or similar brands?
Yeah.
And the third thing I would say is listen to your customer, because listening to our customer or listening to who your ideal customer is. If you're just starting out and you don't know who your ideal customer is, maybe it's your friend or your family member or yourself. I often have bought in products because it's stuff I want. I can use myself as testing and my friends and family. And we've grown our business and grown our product line by listening to our customer. Our business would not have started without potential customers seeking out said muffin pan.
Yeah. You had the customers first, really, didn't you? Then the muffin pan.
In some respects, yes. So
yeah.
I leaned in and listened to what people were saying and thought, okay, well, why not?
Yeah. I like that. I mean, if you look at all the textbooks on sales and marketing, they say you've got to be customer centric. So work out who your ideal customer is and become ideal for that ideal customer, which is what you're saying in much more understandable language.
And we very much cater to our customer. We want our customer to have a really great experience.
Yeah.
Even to, in some respects, the detriment of the business sometimes is that we make a loss, but we want to make sure that our customer is treated fairly and appropriately.
Yeah. And it's likely too, Corrine, that your customers would recommend you to their friends, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
They come over and whatever they get baked for, or they try muffins. Oh, they're great muffins. You should try the low-tox muffin pans. They're great. And then they'll talk to their friends about.
Absolutely. That is the majority of our business, actually, is personal referral.
Personal referral, yeah.
I've got to tell you, that is the most heartwarming, exciting, wonderful part of our business, because people will say, I'm starting to hear more now, we buy them for gifts. We buy them to share.
Yeah. But it is something special, isn't it? Because it's a low-tox product too. So it can be a gift. Like if you gave someone like a normal Kmart muffin pan, you'd be thinking that's not much of a gift, right? By giving them a really special low-tox stainless steel muffin pan, that's more special.
Yeah, we get a lot of people saying their gifts. We offer gift vouchers now for our stores, so people do that as well. Okay. And it's in the social proof as well. We get so much sharing on social media platforms of our products.
Yeah.
I've never seen so many videos of people saying, I can't believe I'm sharing this, but I'm so excited about my stainless steel bakeware. And then they do a video of it. And it's great. Yeah.
It's interesting what people get excited about, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's really
absolutely.
bizarre when you see that. So they're the three things to do. What would you say to avoid? Don't do these two or three things. What would they be? Would you say?
I think for me is, as human beings, we have a tendency, we're either quick to act or slow to act. And I think either of those in business can be a bit of a challenge when you think you don't back yourself and you're too slow and you think, I've got to get it right, I've got to get it perfect, I can't launch, I can't start. But equally on the other side of things, I must have all of these, I must buy all these subscriptions, I must do too much. So I think finding the middle ground of that to be able to help you to move forward. As I said, I don't really think of myself as an entrepreneur in that I subscribe to a family first model, and being able to support my family and run my business is really important. So you won't see me at 3 a.m. sending customer emails, etc. But I lead my business from my heart because that's what I believe will need to sustain me throughout business, to be able to understand what it's like to be a person first and a business owner second. I don't want to be overdriven. I find that too many people get overdriven by their business and their metrics. And sometimes what happens with that, and I see this a lot in small business, is that people radically overcommit to their mission very early on. I'll often see people, without testing their idea or testing the market base, order 20,000 units of something and then me trying to sell them off in a marketplace later because it didn't take off. And that's not a great way to start. So not overcommitting as well.
Okay. That's good advice. Corrine, I just wanted to thank you for being a guest on the Buddies podcast today.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for listening to this Buddies podcast. To get all the podcasts and great workshops, visit buddies.com and join our community. We'll see you there. Bye for now.